You know what? Screw it. No intro. Bro, this movie was so lazy. It legit felt like a fan film. The ending especially, oh my goodness, bro. Oh yeah, I should mention, this review will have spoilers for all of the movies, so beware. Anyway, as a whole, it felt like everything was pulled from the bottom of the barrel since all their new franchise mainstays left for disputes. I think saying that this movie wasn't meta enough isn't the right way to put it. I think a better way of saying it is that it wasn't really self-aware. I'm not expecting my Screamcast to wink at the camera and say, oh my gosh guys, it's just like the movie, but the plot was kind of shockingly generic and predictable. It is yet another killer inspired to recreate the first Scream movie, with Sydney yet again not wanting to face the reality of her past. Especially with how a lot of Scream 6 was at least trying to be an antithesis of a Scream movie, this feels like a step backwards in a whole lot of ways. Tatum is fine, but if she was given more screen time and a more interesting conflict, then Sydney won't let me know what happened to her. She could have been great. This is extra weird since the last two movies have been hidden under the rug, kind of. And so after the previous movie did not feature the main character, her return was kind of redundant. But okay, everyone knows this movie is bad. That's all anyone says about this movie. So let me try to think of a few good things. Well, I like the first 15 minutes. I enjoyed Gail's return with her running through over the Ghostface guy. That was pretty cool. I thought McKenna Grace's kill was pretty gnarly, but it is kind of funny that she has been in two roles or two franchises that feature Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, where she plays a nobody that gets slimed. Like that's kind of funny. And Tatum does have potential. She has more potential than Barrera's character in my opinion. So who knows? But also, I don't know if I'm gonna want another movie. So yeah. Probably not going to think about this one again.
But what the hell, boy?
So, my favorite thing about this movie is the Hollywood setting, which is a really great and natural escalation of the set pieces. In terms of the original trilogy, I like how with each new installment, there was even more progression into all of the meta stuff the series revels in. I like a lot of the new side additions, like the girl that bounces off of Gale and the cop. I like the Carrie Fisher joke, and I like the recurring joke that Dewey is insanely lucky to be alive. But I do not like how much Sydney gets sidelined. This really isn't her movie anymore. All she gets is a few scenes of her at her house, and it's just kind of odd. This movie also definitely felt the loss of Randy. When you have a series about killers where the whole thing is that pop culture is a plot device, you kind of need the pop culture expert. And I can tell they knew they messed up because they even gave us a tape of him just because there was no other way to fill that void. That just feels sad. Everything about the killer here is also kind of whack. I didn't really care for him this time, and the voice changer is a stupid recurring plot convenience. Everyone knows that though. Everyone also knows that the Lighthouse kill is dumb. The core of this movie is fractured, but at least there are a few good moments through it all. I'm very mixed on it. Okay, this one annoys me. I love half of this movie and I hate the other half. This one I have a lot to say, okay? This movie has a massive identity crisis. The beginning of the movie opens up with us actually knowing who the killer is. What the heck? That's so cool! The movie seems to be taking a new direction and breaking the biggest trope of the franchise. This is promising. And he gets killed by the real Ghostface. Wow. Way to go, guys. But okay, the first time our main two sisters encounter Ghostface is really scary. Wow. Look at how it's shot, in the sound design, and how disturbing he is. This is cool. The movie is diverting away from the formula. Oh, what's that? Sam's whole arc is that she inherently wants to be a killer like her dad and recreate the first movie? Oof. That's kind of rough. But nah, okay. So her fighting her killer's conscience is thematically the movie coming up to me and saying, guys, don't worry. This is not Scream anymore. And that keeps the tension alive. As long as the ending is satisfying. She kills the killers and embraces being like her dad, the main villain of the franchise. What the heck? And it sucks because, like, dude, so much is good about this movie. The awkward cast is much more solid this time around. I like the involvement of the characters from Scream 4. And for so long, all the antithetical things to Scream were so damn creative. It's a shame they chickened out, because if they had taken out Gale, doubled down on our new legacy cast of characters, committed to showing us the first Scream guy as the killer, but not the other two, this could have been like one of my favorites. Thinking about this movie just breaks my heart. so let's just move on. This movie is perfectly fine. The Babadook being Tara's favorite movie, on the other hand, is not okay. Get that out of here. But seriously, this movie had some pretty crazy highs and some really boring lows. You might be noticing a pattern, but I get really annoyed at bad to mediocre Scream movies because for the most part, they're a whole load of missed potential. For example, when it comes to the cast, I think in hindsight, it was apparent that Mikey Madison and Jenna Ortega would become stars. They are acting loops around everybody, but it sucks because they're both barely in the movie. And as opposed to the characters whom I was heavily invested in, we get a lot of screen time for characters who I was not, such as Melissa Barrera's character. I feel really bad for her because I can tell she's trying her hardest, but I don't know. I can't really buy into her performance both here and in the sixth one. Granted, it could also be a problem with the script because there were lines for both her and Tara that I found kind of sketch.
If I'm in danger, that means you're in danger. Come on. Let's do this.
I like the commentary on soft reboot movies, which was very inventive. And I like how they subverted all their tropes with the legacy characters. After coming back to make a movie 11 years later, killing Dewey like this was one of the most ballsy things that made me feel like the movie justified its existence. The movie as a whole though, it's watchable. Like if someone plays this at a function and I'm getting talked to by a huzz and they tell me what you feel about the movie, I'm gonna probably be like, yeah, it was fun. And they'll be like, heck yeah!
Hey, that's pretty good.
I think the first half of this movie is on par with the first, which is a very high bar. The opening with Stab is very, very effective. And truthfully, I was kind of blown away by the visual of a murdered girl on the cinema stage posing like she's for entertainment for a crowd. The rules of a sequel being the main driving force is also a good hook, and it leads to some entertaining Randy conversations. Sydney here is still at her best. I find her really great as a final girl because of her unabashed vulnerabilities. I liked all of the suspects, and I genuinely didn't know who the killer would be, which was really nice to feel. But when it did get revealed, yeah, I kind of just rolled my eyes. I like one half of the reveal. I think it's cool that Randy actually called one of them, but giving us a killer that barely has any involvement with the plot, barely has any signals that she could be a suspect, and barely has any character traits is just really unsatisfying. I also think the final fight in the theater didn't really feel that important to Sydney. They try to make it seem like she's a big fan when it wasn't even a thing in the last movie. Randy dying is also problematic, but it was something that only affects the movies that came out after. And here, it served the purpose decently well. So as a whole, the movie is good, with some minor gripes.
I like
Order.
it. Hell, I love it.
Okay, this is the really cool one. I've been a hater for most of this video, so let me just geek out real quick. This movie, now this is meta. I think it has my favorite opening scene. I love this take on legacy sequels more than the future ones because those were more centered on being a requel, being a movie that rehashes the first but also is canonically still in the same universe after the fact. This felt super ahead of its time with the commentary now that I think about it. I really like Gale's story here. It feels very in line with her character. After the original run, it would make sense that she still latches onto her biggest highlight and views the simmering of her excitement in her life as a bad thing. And I also really like the direction her relationship went with Dewey. I really liked all of the new cast, and Jill was an absolute standout. I'm extra bummed out about the underutilization of Mikey Madison in Scream 5, because when you focus on an unhinged murder woman, you get her, and she is a whole lot of fun. Call me an NPC, but the reveal that it was actually her surprised me, and the extra meta motivations were the cherry on top for the strong themes of the movie. Really dang great. This is the movie I defend with my life. No one is allowed to slander Scream 4. All my homies love Scream 4. If there's anything I would have to complain about, I mean, you're seeing it already. This movie is kind of ugly. This was the time period when movies were just overly glossy and the boom was on max. So, you know, whatever. But yeah, besides that, it was a pretty great time. I mean, yeah. I feel like there are some people out here that like this movie and say it's because it's a deconstruction of the slasher genre and makes fun of slashers. But I don't really think that's true. I don't feel like this movie is teasing its own tropes out of malice. I actually think it serves to reinforce the power and use for them. Sydney makes fun of final girls, but she still ends up as one. The boyfriend being the killer is predictable, but they double down so hard that it's genuinely a surprise. Personal story time. When I first saw this movie, I had been spoiled that there was 2 killers and that one of them was Shaggy. But even knowing all of that, the movie still got me with Billy. What the frick? So massive props to the movie for all of that. because the twists are so layered and creative that even only not knowing one of them was still enough of a driving force to satisfy me with the reveal at the end. Sydney is a great final girl, and I think that's because of the focus being on her vulnerabilities, and her surrounding cast is just really complimentary. Randy is a one-of-a-kind character. Truly, there is no one quite like him in the genre. In many ways, he is what Scream embodies. Because when you're hanging out with a Scream fan, you know they're gonna be quoting this guy. Gale and Dewey are also very charming with each other. The effects are great, the opening is super memorable, and why am I still talking about this movie? You guys know it's amazing. What the frick am I even here for? But yeah, that's my ranking of the Scream movies. For the most part, every movie on here has something that I liked, even if it was very small. That high of a standard is not really a luxury I can give to other horror franchises. I know, we're starving. Scream is cool. Somehow Wes Craven made A Nightmare on Elm Street, and still that's not his most popular franchise. Absolute crazy work. Just remember guys, this was all my opinion, so that'd be cool if I knew yours. As you all can see, I don't know what I'm talking about. So teach me something I don't know. Tell me some behind the scenes lore on Scream 3 that would make me better appreciate it. And if you made it this far, please take a second to look at my subscriber count. You see that? You see how low that is? Help a brother out, please. Please, 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 bro. Please, with a cherry on top, please. All right. With all that out of the way, I'll see you all later.